If you're in the market for a new saddle, man, Latitude has a new one out that's pretty sweet, pretty affordable. The new Maverick is dropping this week. I got to set in it at the Mobile Hunter Expo up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I was real impressed with it. I think it's probably what I'm going to use this year. I got one heading my way. Be looking this week for them to drop that on their website and go to latitudeoutdoors.com and get you the Maverick saddle. It's time to start thinking about whitetail gear. ASIO Gear offers a fantastic solution for any of your clothing needs. They've crafted a premium line of bow hunting gear that stands out in quality, especially for the price point. What's more, every purchase from ASIO comes with a lifetime warranty. That gives you some peace of mind there with clothing. With their unique camel pattern and great technology in their garments, ASIO ensures you'll stay comfortable in the stand or in the saddle or whatever you're using. And here's the kicker. ASIO is offering a special deal to listeners. If you use the code ECHO15 at checkout, you can get 15% off your purchase of anything on the ASIO's website. So visit ASIOgear.com today to explore the selection of premium hunting clothing that they have over there. I've been working on a couple of new logos for the channel, and guys over at Games Trail Creative have been helping me do that, and they've made some really cool stuff for me so far. Can't wait to show you guys. If you want to take your logo on an adventure and bring it to the next level, these guys over at Games Trail Creative offer graphic design, logo design, and logo wear services. So check them out at GameTrailCreative.com. Mention BTE and get up to 2 free hours of design service on your first project. And finally, the original sponsor of this podcast, Stealth Outdoors, makers of the greatest silencing tape on this side of Mars. And good news comes from Stealth Outdoors. Lou's offering everybody that listens to the show 10% off using the code BTE10. So, go to stealthoutdoors.com. Make sure you get your silencing tape. Get you a shirt from Lou. Go over there and support Lou. He's a great guy with a great product. Visit stealthoutdoors.com. All my partners are in the description of this podcast. Go check them out. What up, everybody? You guys want to see how long it takes Patrick to unmute himself?
There you go. All right.
I was watching you. I was like, I wonder if he's going to unmute himself before the ad.
Yeah, I'll rewind. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Long time no see.
Oh, yeah. You were on vacation last week. How'd that go?
Man, it was fun. We went to, we went to Colorado. We stayed in Grand Lake, which is on the other side of Rocky Mountain National Park. And then we went, this was for my wife's birthday. And our family that we hang out with and best friends, and all the kids went. They say kids, they're adults. They're 21 to 25, but they still call them kids. And we went out there, and then we went to Colorado Springs, which I really wasn't all that thrilled about going to Colorado Springs. I wanted to go to a different place called Glenwood Springs that I've been.
I'm back.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what it just kicked me out. Anyway, I went to Glenwood Springs turkey hunting, and I wanted everybody go there. You got what's his name's Doc Holliday's buried there, and just some cool stuff. Mount Sopris is there. It's a 12 or 13,000 footer. Anyway, went to Glenwood or Colorado Springs, and man, there's a lot of cool stuff to do there. It was a lot of fun. It's beautiful. I mean, of course, Colorado, I think it's probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. It was pretty cool. The mule deer just laying in people's yards, like giant mule deer, and kind of got me a little fired up, which I haven't been all year. So
heck yeah, dude.
Got home and put trail cameras out this weekend.
Got you motivated.
Yeah, a little bit. Got cameras buzzing all night long now.
Yeah, I'm thinking tomorrow I'm going to go out and do some work, maybe tomorrow and Friday. I only have 2 cameras out right now.
Are they cell or they were?
2 cell cameras out. Yeah, that's it. So I don't know. I don't even know if I'm going to put any more cell cameras out. I may just throw a bunch of SD card cameras out. I mean, I have a pretty good idea of where the few big ones are, and just go in and check as I go in and hunt and stuff. But we'll see.
Have you gotten any pictures yet of anything good?
One pretty good one,
That's it.
and I've glassed up a couple good ones.
Yeah, that's right. You told me you glassed some.
Yeah,
All right, I'll be up there when season open October 1st.
I have several SD card cameras out that I have not checked.
No.
So I mean, several, like over a dozen probably
How long have they been out?
since the spring.
Okay. Are they over stuff that they'll be using in the winter, or are they over
No,
stuff that will just
they're over historical things that I've for the summertime or for the
okay.
early season.
Do the deer scrape a lot in the summer up there?
No,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I
no,
didn't know if you found a lot of the, I hear a lot of people find scrapes, or licking branches, they use year round, which I found a few, but I don't.
yeah, sure. That's what I was getting at. They'll come and check it, but they don't ever scrape. Actually,
All right, I
scrape
got
the
something
dirt.
to show everybody. I just saw them up here, and I've got to show everybody.
Oh,
So
Tucker.
let me ask you guys a question.
What is that?
You know, their season right around the corner. Crazy Kamala. Yeah,
Nobody's
now
ready like I'm ready.
we had these in where were we?
Stop, dude.
Hold on a second. Let me think. We had these in Colorado Springs, and these are the most fun thing you can take anywhere you go with you. All you need is a long sleeve shirt, and we're gonna go to the Mexican restaurant one night. We all decided we're gonna order a bunch of these, and everybody's gonna have long sleeve shirts. We're gonna wear these.
It's like, do that one.
Yeah, just like
That's
anyway,
hilarious, dude.
get serious again with the tiny hands. No, so y'all, we were talking about like historical stuff. Like I put mine over historical stuff. A lot of times I put them out this time of year for. I just like I don't know. It's probably really early to get them out in August like this, but I put them out over stuff like traditional scrapes that they use, pre-rut and travel corridors, and I just get them out there and just leave them. They don't take a
Yeah,
lot of pictures, but they're there, they're soaked, and I don't have to go back in there and check on them until it's time.
right. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna try to get out and about this next couple days. Saturday, me and Maddie it's our anniversary, so we're gonna go and I think we're gonna go to a comedy show and out to eat or something Saturday night. But other than that, it's gonna be pretty nice here. Not too hot, not too it's not gonna be 100 degrees. So
Yeah,
at least get out and do some stuff.
August has been all right so far. It hadn't been too bad.
Yeah,
August is usually terrible.
I know. I'm kind of hoping that it stays that way instead of like maybe getting hot in September and October, but who knows?
As long as it's not dry like it was last year. You remember last year
Yeah.
we didn't have rain till like December.
Oh
And
man, I
messed
know.
up everything. Bucks didn't
Yeah.
really use scrapes because they weren't really scraping heavy. And I mean, when I went to Illinois, they weren't hardly. I mean, there were scrapes open, but they weren't hitting them like they should be. And I mean, they didn't really need to because it hadn't rained and washed any scent away, and they didn't have to
Right.
freshen. It's just dry, man. Everything cracked and crunched.
Do you think I didn't read the post to be honest with you, but someone was asking about is it better for deer to be hot and dry or cold and wet during the wintertime?
I'd say cold and wet. I think.
Yeah.
Well, deer, it's either way, it's fine. I think they don't care. I mean, I'm sure they prefer cool and dry, but
Maybe
um,
maybe it wasn't for the deer, maybe it was for like antler growth or something. I can't remember exactly how.
antler growth. Well, John always likes it when it's really wet. He says that wet springs and wet, in the summer. He says he notices the best antler growth, and he's got way more experience time in the woods and deer hunting than you and I do.
Yeah.
Probably
Well, he like
years,
pays
40 years,
attention.
5 years.
He pays attention to that stuff more too, and he has a bigger like pool of data to pull from than we do,
Yeah,
right?
he sure does. Yeah, but he says he likes it when it's wet. He says it's weird too. It's kind of you think it's contradictory, but he likes it when it's a wet spring for turkeys too, because he says that the nests stay with more moisture and it's better for the eggs, and it seems like they hatch better and something. I don't know. He told me, but he explained it to me.
Yeah. We gotta sucker him in one day to come on here and
We're gonna
just
do it.
pick his brain about stuff.
Yeah, we got to get him on here because I think everybody would be interested to hear what he says. He's kind of like a Dan type character. I mean, totally different styles of hunting between the two of them, but he's kind of just one of those people that's just um not your typical, like, thinks outside of the box and is very successful.
Yeah.
Ridiculously successful.
Yeah.
And he don't want anybody knowing about it. Like, he don't want
Yeah.
nobody knowing how good he is.
Yeah, I'll have to have you bug him about it sometime.
Oh, I
Just talking
will.
to things like that too would be really interesting to see if because he seems like he notices really minute, detailed things that people would be interested in.
So I got a funny story for you. So you remember Sam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sam that we went to dinner
Yeah,
with?
I remember Sam.
Okay, so Sam, well, his hair's like down to here now, and it's thick and blonde, and I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and he's with John every time they go over to Arkansas to feed or go wherever. I mean, they're together all the time right now. He's helping John out. So anyway, John was telling me he was getting out of the car, and he's so particular, man. He was like, "All right, look, these bucks are bedding in here, and they're using this. So when we get out of the car, no dipping, no talking, barely breathe, click your door shut, don't pee, don't
Yeah, John always this.
yeah." And he said, "Don't click the door shut." He says, "If you can't do these things, just stay in the car." So Sam says, "Well, I guess I better just stay in the car because Sam."
Yeah.
Like, oh. So he goes and sneaks off in the woods, and he's easing in there to this spot that he's going to put a camera in, and there's one of the bucks. He says, laying there looking at him, staring on the hill. He said the deer didn't even get up. He just kind of like, I don't know if you do this, if everybody out there does this, but when you see them, like if I see a deer come up and it looks at me, I never look it in the eyes. Like I
Yeah.
don't. It's just something that I believe. You just don't look them in the eyes. And so John said he didn't look him in the eyes, and then the deer got up and kind of just trotted away. But he said it was a giant. It was one of those he's got over there that's just, I mean, it's huge. Just probably 160 plus. One of them. Yeah, he's got some good ones this year. Got a lot of 8 points too. He said he's got a lot of and I mean, I see his pictures because I got his account, so I see all the pictures he gets in, and I mean, he's got a bunch of just older 8 points, good looking deer. He's got one that's really pretty, you know.
He don't
Yeah.
like 8-pointers though, right?
Oh, he loves them. Like that's his.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, his dream buck is like a book 8-pointer. He loves
Oh,
big.
I thought he was always wanting me to shoot them 8-pointers at his farm.
He just
I guess
out
they're not
there.
big
We
ones.
call them like Cracker Jack 8s because that's the name he says, Cracker Jack. I don't know why he calls them Cracker Jacks, maybe because they all look alike. But
Yeah,
you know, they're those kind of 8s are fine. But when
like
they get
those 110-inch 8-pointers that are 4 years
110,
old.
120, 125, you know, that 130 that's kind of maxed out. But we're talking like when they get over 150 as an 8,
Yeah.
that's when he gets really excited. I mean, he sees some 8s that are in the 150. I don't know if he's got any right now on camera that are in the 150s. I've looked at, I see all his pictures because I've got his accounts, and
Yeah.
his cameras the only ones that have been running. I hadn't even had mine out, so I hadn't even really been paying attention to mine. But
a buddy of mine I used to work with, he's a killer, man. He hunts private land. He has a farm, but he has a gigantic wall, but he killed like two years ago. He killed a 168-inch 8-point.
golly, man,
Giant.
I mean, that's a huge deer. I don't think people realize how big
That's a
168
giant.
8-point is.
That's a frame that would be a 200-incher if it was,
Yeah,
had more than 8-point. If it was,
I mean, you add 2 more 10-inch points.
I know.
There you are.
Man.
You're getting close. You know.
Yeah.
Man, that's just I don't know what the biggest 8-point I've ever seen. I got a 143, and I mean that's a huge 8 in my opinion. And
Yeah, man, that's a giant 8.
If you get an 8 in the 140s, like that's huge. You know.
Yeah, I have 2 8s that are around 130, and they're good deer. They're really good deer.
But that's a big deer. I mean, a 138 is a big deer.
Yeah, I think those are by 4-year-olds. They're just 8-pointers. They just, is what it is.
I love a big 8. I like them too.
Yeah,
I want a big 6-point. Like that's when I was 14, I think, a guy up at my hunting club, I missed a deer like a few weeks before. I was shooting a 35, and I was like, I was 14. So probably like 100 yards away. He was at my distance, right? And of course I had buck fever and everything else. And I just saw this massive, that's the biggest deer I'd ever seen at the time. It was probably 130-inch 8-point. I mean, it was that big. It had, I mean, maybe I was young, but if I remember right, I mean, it had bases. It had like 5-inch bases and just carried mass. It was chocolate horned and tall tines, tall brows. And we never killed anything like that. I mean, this is back in the 90s. This is like 94, 95. So like you just didn't kill big deer like you do now, and to see a deer like that with a bunch of does walking in the cutover, man, my heart skipped a beat. I missed him.
Yeah.
And kid killed him like the next week or 2 weeks later and shot his antler off. He got so nervous and shot it like it just above the base. And so you could still kind of put it there. But I've always wanted to kill a big 6 after that.
Oh yeah, man. To be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what's our plan for next week?
Well, I'm going to do some bush hogging.
We got the Tennessee velvet hunt coming up. Is what we're talking about here.
I
go down to Patrick's.
I got cameras out. I'm going to let them run for probably till Thursday. And maybe you get here Thursday, depending when you want to come down weather-wise or whatever. Like, I don't know if you want to do what you did last year, but, you're welcome to stay the whole hunt. If you come down Thursday, if you get here like midday, hopefully I'll be done cutting grass and we can go out to John's and we can kind of tip in some of these spots. Probably just drive to them because they're easier to just drive to and you probably do less damage that way. And we'll check a few cameras. And I've got one cell camera running. We'll see what's out there. We're going to do some bush hogging hopefully next week out there at the farm. So hopefully I can get it'll work out where I can get some food plots planted for the winter and maybe you come back down here again like you did last year.
Yeah.
Kill you another deer.
That'd be cool. I'm excited, man. And can you hunt public in your zone right now in the velvet?
For the velvet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because some places you can't, right?
You couldn't hunt it with a gun, but you could hunt. You know what? I don't know. It might be private land only. But we were in
some places.
Well, we were in the CWD zone. They changed the unit. It's no longer CWD unit. We're just following the transportation guidelines, and they went back to the old season. So I know all the people watching probably hate the CWD nonsense like we do and stuff. So Tennessee was on a CWD plan from 2018 until last year. So that's what, 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
And then this year, that was after they initially found it. They freaked out, they didn't go I don't think they went as far crazy as Wisconsin did when they had it, but they made it. I mean, we've always been able to shoot 3 does a day. And so with the CWD, they went to a 3 buck limit last year. And it was the only year they did it. Every other year was 2 buck, but you could earn as many bucks. If your buck tested positive, you got another buck. If you had 2 does tested at first, if you shot 2, you got another buck. Well, that didn't work. So they said, if you'll just shoot 1 and you get it tested, we'll give you another buck. So it's basically unlimited bucks, unlimited does. And the gun season started like right after our juvenile hunt, which was usually like October 31st or November 1st. And the rifle season went all the way until the end of January. So it's a 3 months long rifle hunt. Well, thankfully, I don't think people bought into that very much. And so they didn't kill the deer like they were supposed to. So Tennessee's reversed all that. Maybe they ran out of funding or whatever. And now it's just a regular zone. We still can shoot 3 does a day. If you still tag a doe and have her tested, you get a free buck. If you kill a buck and have him tested, you get another buck. Same rules, but they just they reduced the limit down to just 2 bucks. And they went back, they reduced the season down to, we can only hunt till the 5th of January this year. And they reduced the gun season down by 3 weeks. So it opens the 3rd week like it traditionally did, like around like the 19th to 21st of November is when it opens.
Yeah.
So which is good because now I think that'll keep a lot of people out of the woods when I like to be in the woods. And it'll hopefully save some deer. Now we have a muzzleloader season that opens, I think, like the first Saturday in November, and it's 2 weeks long. So, I mean, you still have people out there, but it's not like you got rifles everywhere.
Yeah.
So they changed some stuff.
Chris was asking the Tennessee, the velvet season is not just CWD. It's statewide, isn't it?
Statewide. But I think what I was getting around to is they did let you hunt with a rifle on public in the CWD zone because they were trying to stop
Yeah.
the spread. I don't know. I'd have to look at the regulations to see if they close that, but I'll look at them here in a little bit.
Yeah,
Let
but it's bow only now, right? And
Yeah, it's but they went back to bow only. It was rifle for like 3 years, I think, 2 or 3. No, it's like 3 years, maybe 4 years. They did it in the CWD zone only. It was rifle, which I'm glad it's not because you know how easy bucks are to kill this time of year
yeah,
in a field with a rifle. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, you can shoot a 7, 8 year old, the oldest, smartest buck right now in the county. You can shoot him
yeah,
easily
250 yards. Yeah,
250 yards with a rifle. You just got to know where he is and where he's coming out.
yeah. Unless it's 114 degrees and they're not moving at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Which they've been moving pretty good during the
Yeah,
day. They've been moving really good in the morning. Like early morning has been the best movement I've been seeing on cameras for bucks, at least. They're moving right at that. Like you want to be in the stand like probably like an hour before daylight because they're coming back from wherever they're at right before daylight.
yeah. So I'll have my bow with me and my saddle and everything, and because John doesn't have stands up, does he?
He's got a few, but not,
But yeah,
you went out there, so you got to see a lot of it too on that
yeah,
east side when we turkey hunted,
yeah,
So like, where we started that morning, that's I got a camera running right there. And a lot of deer use that, by that high fence that his neighbors got.
yeah,
Um, so I got a camera there. I got a camera on the west side of his property, and then I got one behind the barn.
yeah. What's in the high fence, or is it just an old deer farm or something?
They used to have some big deer in there.
Yeah, but it's
But
nothing there anymore, right?
yeah, they still
Oh, is
got
there?
big deer. Well, as far as we know, they do. But a
Yeah,
tree fell over 2 parts of it and knocked the fence down. So
maybe one of them will walk out in front of us.
I mean, that'd be cool. But what's crazy is like they didn't fix it. Like you spend all that money to build a high fence. You're in a CWD zone. You don't have CWD. A tree falls on your thing, and you just don't fix it. You
Yeah,
know.
you wonder if he had something, didn't have them in there or something at the time.
No, he's had them. They've been had. I mean, they've killed some 170s and stuff over there.
Has
They
John ever got one of them on camera that he probably didn't know of, does he?
No, he said they used to just walk up and down that fence. Like, you'd see him on the other side. If you had a hot doe on this side, like you'd see one
Yeah,
walk up the fence, but they couldn't jump it because it's, 10, 12 foot tall.
yeah.
But I don't know how much land it is, but it's a lot.
That happened to me in Ohio, dude. I went to this new property that I got permission on. I didn't know
Hmm.
there was a high fence on it, and I'm setting up in my stand, and it's like a really like it's not even it's not a hunting preserve. It's just like a cat like maybe 5 acres that these deer
Hmm.
were in. And it's a field behind the house, but you really, I mean, I couldn't see the fence, but I like saw these. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of deer in that guy's field. I got to looking. I'm like, gosh, dude, there's like 3 big bucks in there.
Yeah.
And then I got on X, and then you could like clearly see that there's some kind of a barrier, and um, ended up walking over there, and he had a bunch of deer pinned in this pen. I was like, daggone, man. I
Yeah.
got real excited for a minute. I'm like, man, there's some giants around here. Yeah.
No,
uh,
it's pretty cool. I mean, I've never seen a deer on that high fence. I mean, we've had cameras over there to try to catch some, maybe coming out and
yeah.
but we hadn't had any luck with that yet. So
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe they killed them all, and they just once CWD hit, maybe they just
You did away with it.
yeah. Because in Tennessee, and I don't know if it's like that. Like you're in Indiana, so high fences, or they have a lot of deer farms up there. In Tennessee, if they get tested pretty regularly, if they test a deer and it's positive for CWD, you got to shoot everything in there. Like you got to kill
Yeah.
everything. So, which I don't know if that would be true now because everything else has CWD. So I don't see what the big deal would be about if you had it in your high fence. So maybe that changed, but I know before we were in a CWD zone. Can you imagine raising all those deer and then having one pop positive and they go, oh, you got to kill everything you got in here? That would be terrible.
Be rough.
Yeah. And then just keep it pinned off. And I don't know.
Chris asked how many hours before they call the meat spoiled for the August velvet hunt.
I was talking about that with my friend today. Probably, I'd say you'd want to get that thing about an hour. Don't you think? Hour, maybe 2?
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be out there very long.
As
You
long as it's in
definitely,
shade.
and that's why I have no interest I mean, you can do whatever you want, and I'm not judging people for doing this, but like, dude, on John's farm, we can pretty much drive anywhere on there and get a deer out. Like, I don't know if I have any desire to hunt public land in that velvet hunt. Like,
No
I think you're just like just killing a deer for nothing, like for no meat. I mean,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know how
Yeah.
you get it out of there unless you packed it out and had a cooler at your truck and weren't very far off the road. But like on John's farm, we're fortunate that we can literally drive a truck up to anywhere on the
Yeah.
property.
Well,
Within 100 yards of a
I,
deer.
I wonder too, like, and it's different out west because it's cooler. There's no humidity. There's no bugs really. But,
Yeah.
it gets pretty warm in September and you kill those elk and you let them hang up in the tree. So I wonder, like, once you get the skin off and the guts off and you put it in one of those game bags, I wonder realistically how long it'll last. I wouldn't want to hang it from a tree in the South, but I mean, just, if you did have to pack it out for, say, an hour, because you kill the deer, okay, it's dead. Then you have to find it. Let's say that takes 30 minutes if you made a good shot. Let's say 15 minutes, it falls down right in front of you, right? So you get
Yeah.
down, boom, he's
Best
dead.
case scenario.
Best case scenario.
Get
So
the guts
now
out.
you got to quarter it and you got to do all that. That's probably 15 to 20 minutes if you're really good, probably 30 minutes if you're not really good, and then you got to walk out. And let's say you had to walk an hour in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now you're at like almost 2 hours before you get it in a cooler.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it would take for it to spoil.
I don't know. I know like out west, there's a lot of, out in like the high country. Of course, it gets pretty cold at night there, but
Mhm.
those guys will obviously debone it, get it off the bone. The bones can spoil the meat pretty quickly. And then, get it down in a creek or something, a cool creek, get it by one of the low areas in the creek, and they can last for a couple days back there.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. I forgot about that. You get a cool spring-fed creek.
yeah, it's chilly. I mean, you can in the mountains in Colorado, like when I would go mule deer hunting or elk hunting, the handful of times I've been, like there's a 20-degree difference by the creeks versus those cool mountains creeks versus
Yeah,
out in the other side of the mountain or something. So
yeah,
that's what we always planned on doing.
yeah, yeah. Did y'all ever kill anything when y'all were out there?
Mhm.
Just
No,
yourselves?
I shot two bulls. I shot two bulls, but didn't find either one of them.
Man, where did you went to Colorado, right?
Yeah,
My friend Jonathan's been out there, man, for 10 years, and he's had some close encounters. I mean, he's shooting a recurve too, so
yeah.
take that into consideration. He's
Mhm.
hard headed. He's never killed a bull. And he's been going out there for a long time. He's a really good deer hunter. He's a really good turkey hunter, like a really good turkey hunter. And he's the one that traps. He's a professional trapper.
Yep.
And so he traps and has a company getting varmints out of your house and stuff. Anyway, he goes out there in 2 weeks and he does not have an elk tag. He's got a bear tag, and a buddy of his that he hunts with every year's got an elk, a mule deer, and a bear. So he's
Jeez.
pretty fired up. Yeah, he's got there's an outfitter that told him he'd let him trespass. He could pay him a fee and he'd give him because I think landowners get tags out there.
Yeah.
So he could do that, but he doesn't know what he's going to do. He doesn't think he's probably going to do that. He's just going to help his friend out, try to get him a mule deer. He
And
said they see giants all the time.
he's in Colorado.
Yeah, yeah. I think he hunts like south of Glenwood Springs in is it Gunnison National Forest? I think it's Gunnison.
Mhm.
I think
Gunnison. Yep.
yep. I think that's where he hunts.
Um. Yeah.
It's all going.
I think you can buy a bear tag in Colorado for like $100.
Yeah, he says bear tags are easy to get.
Yeah, I think it's over
The
the
elk,
counter.
he got drawn last year, but everything's drawn in Colorado now. Like there's
Yeah.
no more over the counter tags. So
Hey, there's a question about why would you have a high fence deer? Talk about that. I'm gonna go pee.
what now?
I can't remember who was asking, but they're asking about
Yeah.
high fence deer and why people have high fence deer.
Oh man. Well, if I had a high fence, I would have it just to control my herd. Um, just because I think that would be what the easiest way to control what you shoot. It kind of depends on your acreage. I think if if you box them into a really small acreage and you jam pack as many bucks in there, it's going to be really easy to kill, really nice deer every year. So it kind of takes the fair chase aspect out of it. If you had 3 or 4 thousand acres and it was high fenced and you could control your genetics and your herd, I think that wouldn't be that unfair because that's a lot of land. But if you only have 600, 800, anything, I think anything less than probably like 1,000 or 1,500 acres, you're really boxing in a lot of deer, and it kind of depending too on the terrain. Like if it's a lot of timber, if it's a lot of the other, but I think they just want it so they can shoot giant stuff you can't see, especially if they're farmed.
Yeah, it's a big business. I mean, people raise those gigantic deer, and then they get money to go
Mm,
put them in different other high fences. I mean,
yep.
it's kind of a
Who
big.
was it? There's a guy up in one of the guys I know. Um, he goes up to this place in Indiana called X Factor. Have you heard of
Yeah,
that?
Beller's place. I used to live in the town that was in.
Yeah, he hunts.
Called
He's
Beller's
hunted.
place.
They've traded out work. He does tile, so he like his lodge. He would go up there and do all the tile work or flooring coverings and stuff like that for him.
Yeah.
And he got to hunt X Factor. He's killed some giants up there. Like
Oh,
he won't even hunt around here like anymore. He just shoots giant bucks. Him and his wife go up there and shoot giants in that place.
yeah. It's I'm pulling him up here. Okay. This is X Factor. This was in the town that I used to live in up in Wabash, Indiana.
Yeah, I heard the semen, like the semen from one of the X Factor deer is like super ridiculous. Yeah, that's X Factor right
Yeah.
there.
This is him. Well, that's a crappy picture, but
Like
uh,
that. Well, that's a good picture of him right there.
where this guy?
Yeah, just that's him on the top, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that's
so.
him too. Yeah, that's
I
X
don't
Factor.
know. I have no idea. They all look the same. They all look like freaks.
Yeah, he's got another. There was another one that was I forget. He was telling me what the guy charges just for the semen from those deer, and it's something just
Yeah, they sell vials of the semen and everything. I mean, it's
absolutely
big,
ridiculous.
big, giant business. Um, yeah, this was in
Yeah.
just outside of Wabash, Indiana.
Chris is Trophy Rock.
That's
Trophy
hilarious.
Rock, dude. Trophy
Yeah,
Rock.
they got. I mean, these are the deer they got on the place. I mean,
Oh,
just one of these got out of the farm, or someone shot one of them up
yeah.
there.
I've heard of that happening. Oh, that guy shot a yearling. That's a yearling, probably right
Oh
there.
yeah, look at the face on it, dude. I guarantee that's a year old deer.
Yeah,
It's insane because me and Dad have been here at this farm before, and like he would have pins. He'd have like year olds, 2 year olds, 3 year olds, 4 year olds, and
really.
this is these are the size
Like
of the
that's
year old.
probably a year and a half old buck. That
Yeah,
guy's
look at
hunting.
the body and the face on it. You can tell
Yeah,
it's a year and a half old buck.
yeah. I don't know how
This
they
is
do
this
it.
is probably a 2 year old,
Yeah, yeah. That was a little bit bigger.
2 year old.
Yeah, probably another 2 year old.
That one might be a little older deer. That might be a
Yeah,
3 year old.
he's got a
But
little.
yeah, these are all just 2 and 3 year
That's a
old
little
bucks.
bit older deer.
Uh,
So the way those go is there's a certain price per inch. So like you
yeah,
pay like $12,000. That's a cool looking deer there. That's a cool looking one there. But you
yeah,
pay like $12,000, right? And let's just say as a starter, and then each inch over that is so much money for what you kill.
yep,
John's gone to a couple of high fence places and hunted just for fun. He
yeah.
went to Wisconsin. He went to one up in Wisconsin with his dad. His dad paid for it. And he was like, "Come on!" And he went up there. He shot like a 2 something, and then his dad shot that white. His dad's got a white buck that he shot, and then one guy he said they took. I mean, this is the way it is, guys. Like I'm not damning it. I'm not supporting it. I'm not
Yeah, I get it.
it's neutral. Like if I got invited to go bow hunt a high fence place, I'd probably like, sure, why not? It might be fun, but I don't think it would trip my trigger like hunting wild free range deer, right? But anyway, one guy went up there and he just had like a spaz about it, and I think he bought like $10. He spent like $150,000 on just
Mm.
shooting deer. He shot one. He's like, I want another one. Shot another one. How much does that one cost? I'll shoot that one. Like these are big money guys, but that's probably what a lot of that's big money guys that
They
just.
had Dale Earnhardt came there all the time.
Oh yeah,
I think Jeff Foxworthy, and then don't quote me on Jeff Foxworthy. That could be wrong there, but I think so. And then Brantley Gilbert was always up there
yeah,
randomly.
yeah. I mean, you don't have much time, and you got a lot of money, and
Yeah,
for me, and you too, and probably a lot of the people watching, like the whole reason we hunt is that challenge and that heartbeat,
yeah,
and the adrenaline dump, and then the pride that you have when you take a wild deer, that is a trophy in your eye, right? I
100%.
just don't think it would do that for me. I just don't think. I think I'd be like, hey, Josh, check this deer out. It's pretty cool, huh? Shot at a high fence.
My
All right.
dad played a great joke one time. He had a friend that was like partners with Bellers, or I don't know exactly what happened, but he kept some of the deer at his house that belt for that. I don't know what you call them, the ranch, high fence ranch.
Yeah.
And, and my dad was over there, and they were tranquilizing the bucks to cut their horns off, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's not good for them to carry that much weight around,
Yeah.
and they're all sitting there. His dad said there was in a big like a line just sleeping. The bucks were sleeping. And dude, he had his camo and stuff on in the truck, and he got all of his camo out and his bow, and he was taking all these like trophy pictures with these big deer.
Yeah.
And he's like sending them to my cousins and stuff, and they were just like, "Dad," and my cousins were texting me, he's like, "Your dad killed that big deer up there." I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" And then he's like, "Look what I'm sending to Adam and all them."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pictures of those big giant like
Yeah.
180-inch year and a half old bucks,
Say, He's a $9 mineral
Yeah,
block.
and he said they were literally snoring. He said, "Well, I had them like when I was taking pictures with them."
That'd be kind of cool to go, Hank, just see those.
Oh yeah, it was cool to go look at them and stuff. I mean, they were just like cattle. I mean, they were just in a pen.
How dumb are? I mean, I guess those are pretty.
Oh
dumb.
man, Bellers gave I don't know, my dad bought it or what happened, but anyways, he got a DVD. Like they made a DVD about the place, like all the hunts, and it was hard to watch. Like, they were just. I mean, it was hard to watch.
I take back what I said. I don't think I could go hunt one of those. If it was, you remember the sanctuary that is in Michigan that Bill Jordan used to hunt a lot in the 90s? Does anybody remember that? That might be before your time. You were, I don't know if you were a little baby back then, but when my dad and I used to watch videos, Bill Jordan, every year he would go to the sanctuary for a bow hunt, and they would have hunts. That wasn't a place where I think it was a high fence place, but it wasn't a deer farm. There's a difference between a deer farm. I think so. I think it was just high fenced where it was fair chase, high fence. Like
they just put a fence around it. They didn't actually have like
it was like 2 or 3
deer walking around.
Right. It was like 2,000 or 3,000 acres, and I think the deer were wild deer that they just control the population of the herd like that. I think that's all right. I mean, if I had 3,000 acres and the money to fence it, I would probably do that just to control my herd. But I don't know though, man. That might get weird, that might get old after a while. There's just something to be said about doing it the right way.
Exactly.
The poor folk way.
I'm trying to find those pictures my dad took of that.
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
But I don't know if I'll ever be able to find him. It was a long time ago. I mean, I was in high school probably whenever we lived up there. But
I think I got a picture of one of the. Let me see.
Yeah, I think a big thing out those farms is like the does are really important. Like they got like high end does that.
Yep.
Throw out
the does sell for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Let me see.
But that's what it is. It's a big business, and I think it's for rich people that don't have time to hunt and they still want to go kill something.
And they want cool looking stuff on their wall.
Feed their ego, essentially,
Well, and you get a cool deer to put on your wall, and for people like us that do it as kids, it started out as kids. It's just, let me see. I'm trying to find this. I know I got this picture on here.
But super weird. It's super weird as a deer hunter to go over there and
oh, here you go.
And see it.
So the one, I don't know if you can see it. The one on the right with the drop tine, that was high fence, and the other one is not. They both got drop tines, but
those are Texas deer, right?
No, this one here is from over there on his place.
Oh, okay.
That was a 7.5-year-old 6-point that started having drop tines. I mean, that was a ridiculously good deer. And the other one on the other side, that was a high fence deer with the split G2 and stuff. I thought I had a better picture of it than that. Those aren't my deer, by the way. I just was holding the pictures. I'm not going to take crap for something I didn't do. Those are just pictures of his deer. And he went over there. It was like a free deal too. I think you got to go for free.
Yeah, I know. Like Dan and those guys have went to like Michigan and hog hunted that way, where they got like hogs in a big farm, like a big penned up farm.
Yeah,
They like did a beast thing there one time, a long time ago.
Hogs are so terrible anyway. Just just for what they do to the land. Do y'all have hogs up there in Indiana? A bunch of them.
Yeah, we got them, but not like some states do. Our DNR seems like they've done pretty good at controlling them, but
We're just starting to get them in this part of Tennessee.
really,
Mm-hmm.
have you guys seen any over in John's place?
No, they're not near there yet. They're not far, but they've got a long way to go before they get there.
Yeah,
They got a long way to go. But yeah, I don't know. High fence is just, I don't know. I
yeah,
probably wouldn't do it.
it's definitely not for me. I don't have any desire to, but I've been to a bunch of them just because where I lived at, it was like this hub in Indiana for
Mhm.
all the high fence
There's
farm.
two. He's got two. He's got X Factor, and then I want to say he's got one called Freak Factor that's like the son of X Factor.
Probably because there's no way
That's
X Factor is living still. It's he.
Yeah, Freak. I think Freak Factor was like a typical, like a
Yeah,
300, like two something, like high 200s typical, and he was Freak Factor, and then they had X Factor. He was a 2-year-old, 300-inch deer.
yeah, yeah. It's insane. It's insane. I mean, he had. I remember in town there, he was like selling products with that deer's face on it, and like called everything was X Factor this, X Factor that, X Factor bag of corn, whatever.
Probably urine. Probably had his own urine line where he
Yeah,
collected urine from the
everything. He had a
deer.
mineral block he sold. I don't know. I don't know if he sold it like nationwide or anything, but it was definitely in town there. You could buy all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
He made a
so
lot of
there's just a
money.
lot of money in those things. Like people will pay a lot of money to have a picture of him on things or use them for advertisement. And it's kind of weird, but
Paul asked
it's
a good
just
question.
farming. It's just whitetail farming is all it is, you know?
Paul asked a good question about the deer, the shrinking deer habitat, condensing deer per habitable acre increases CWD. Definitely CWD. EHD, no, because I don't think that's contagious deer to deer. That comes from a midge fly over a
Yeah.
water hole, bites them, gives them a bacteria. I think it's a bacteria, and they run a high fever, and it's not fatal. 100% fatal, but it's pretty daggum fatal. Did you see that Instagram or that post on Facebook today about Indiana?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Somebody went down a creek kayaking and it was just dead
Yeah.
bucks everywhere.
Hmm.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Me and a buddy were texting back and forth today. He did something on the river the other day and said he could smell some dead deer, but never saw any. Not
Is it
good.
that dry up there?
I don't think it's that dry.
I mean,
No,
it's been dry down here. I think we haven't had a rain here in 3 weeks.
I don't even want to say this because it scares me a little bit, but like we had our first CWD positive here in Indiana this
Oh,
year.
where at? Is it close to you? Or?
No, not down here, but still is in Indiana. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that.
Is it?
You also, man, you don't know what you're seeing on the internet either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, they had one in Arkansas last year, and Arkansas didn't freak out.
yeah,
Just right across the river, and they haven't changed any. They have a CWD. They have had CWD in Arkansas for a while,
yeah,
but it's up in the northwest corner, and it hadn't made it anywhere. Well, they had one over just across the river from me last year, but I don't think it's. I haven't heard anything else about it.
yeah. I don't know. I've just been just slowly waiting.
My opinion, since there's a lot of chat about CWD is don't worry about it. I don't think it's a worry about what the government does more than what it's going to do to your deer herd. Because I mean, I haven't noticed. I mean, yeah, there's not as many deer, but man, there's a lot bigger deer now that we've had CWD in this area for the last 7 or 8 years. The deer are just bigger. We're killing
Yeah,
a lot better deer.
yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't heard any rumblings about anything happening um yet or laws changing or any of that stuff, but who
They
knows?
probably, yeah. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they don't do anything, man. I'm telling you, the CWD stuff is madness. It's like coronavirus for deer. It's like, I mean, it's along the same kind of knee jerk reaction. It seems like every state does. How many states do you have to look at that have done the kill everything and then go, oh, that didn't work. Let me reverse course. Let's just do nothing. And they're still big deer. They're still like, I get an argument on Facebook. There's a game biologist, and he just swears it's the end all be all. He used to be a Tennessee game biologist. He moved out west. He's in New Mexico, and he says it seems pretty knowledgeable, but I just don't agree with him on 90% of what he says. And yes, he's educated, but I'm going off of what I see. I mean, I've been hunting deer for 40 years. Or let me see, I'm 44, so 30 years. I've been hunting deer since I was 10 or whatever. So 34 years. So I mean, I see better deer now than I did 10 years ago. I don't see
Yeah.
the numbers, but I mean, the whole thing of thinking that deer are just going to be vanish because of this disease, it just doesn't make sense. I just don't see it. And I think it's always been there. I almost think CWD is a naturally occurring thing. I actually saw an article that who was it? Dr. Deer. What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Strickland.
No, the other one. He's been around forever. Kroll, James Kroll.
Oh yeah.
He wrote an article where there was a one deer in a controlled pen just popped positive out of nowhere. So that kind of makes you believe now, well, maybe it's not this contagious, or it is contagious, or it's not contagious, or whatever, but maybe it's just a naturally occurring thing that happens from time to time. And then when deer in a close proximity and it might be contagious or something, I don't know. I'm no game biologist, just what I'm thinking. But if you could take a test area, put a bunch of healthy deer in there, and then all of a sudden 10 years later, one pops CWD and nobody else does, that tells me that it is a naturally occurring phenomenon in deer herds and that it just happens, and it's probably always happened. And, I don't know. I was sold on it, man, when it first came. I was like, man, kill them all. We got to do this. We got to help our herd. But what I've seen, there's better deer now than there were back when it first started.
Yeah. Captain Texas. See if I can get to you here, man. Thanks for joining the membership. You guys, if you didn't know, we have a membership on the channel. It's 99 cents to join. So you get I've been giving everybody that's a member free early access to all the videos too. So once I get the videos done, you guys see them automatically. Don't have to wait till I put them out. So like the video's going up tomorrow morning at 8. You guys everybody that's a member has already seen it. So and also love you too, buddy. Love you too, Huck Wayne. He must be watching.
That's awesome.
You
gotta I saw you made a video on that new saddle. Tell me about that.
New
Maverick. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I got it in the mail. Do what?
Is it single panel?
Single panel. Yeah, it's a very simple saddle. Like it's nothing fancy. There's no metal on it. I like it. I really want to try out their new Lone Star that they're coming out with too. That TX5. It's like some stuff from TX5 and then a mixture of some Latitude stuff. So I want to try that thing too. But it's sometimes with that the Method 2 has been my favorite saddle I've ever used. But sometimes like being 2-panel, it's just like everything else. There's more pieces to it, right? So you can get it tangled up and everything else. Whereas this one's there's no way to really tangle it up or get it stuck, and it's comfortable. So I like it. I mean, what you guys saw in the videos about all I've messed with it, but I'm gonna bring it to Tennessee and try it out.
I watched that Latitude, like they got ads on and stuff. I've been seeing them, and it looks like they have a saddle that like it might be the Maverick that like almost looks like it folds up.
That's it.
Okay, yeah, it folds up like to your waist, like you're almost wearing it like a belt.
Yeah,
and then you just pull it down. That's pretty cool for walking in and out with it.
Yeah, it's super compact.
I
mean, I talked to Kevin at Latitude about it, and he said it's just for the guy that wants as light as possible and as small as possible. You're going to be running a gun on public land. Maybe you're going, your max hours in the stand's going to be 3 or 4 hours. That's what he said it's for.
Yeah.
So
we need to make one. We need to make our own company, call it Death Diaper.
The Death Diaper?
Death Diaper Outdoors.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The Death Diaper.
That's hilarious. They have a lot of stuff coming. They got that Lone Star. Did you see the ad for the Lone Star?
I don't remember. I know I like that sweatshirt. I think you and I talked about that. I like that sweatshirt they make. I'm gonna have to order one of those.
Yeah.
Latitude sweatshirt.
The ad they made for the Lone Star is like this coolest ad I've ever seen for like from a hunting company,
I'm gonna have
at
to look
least.
it up.
So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, they're doing some good stuff over there.
Yeah, go check that out. It's worth just watching because it's like very well produced. I guess
Yeah.
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, their videos, their ad for their new saddles look pretty good. I mean, they're
Yeah,
stepping their game on up, man.
yeah, they're doing good things.
Yeah.
What did you ask me? You just asked me about the Maverick. That's it, right?
Yeah, I was just asking about the Maverick.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mess with it much at the Pennsylvania Mobile Hunter Expo, but I messed with it in the one in Michigan. So
Did
it's good.
you don't have Huck's championship belt, do you, from the expo?
No,
His WWE
his wrestling
is
victory
he
had over
the
Jacob.
Intercontinental champion or is he just
Yeah.
the
No, I think he's just the Intercontinental champion.
Intercontinental? He's working his
Dude,
way.
Johnny Stewart can wrestle because like Jacob is I mean, he's fresh out of college wrestling,
Oh,
and Johnny Stewart like kept up with him, and he's like, yeah, he and Jacob probably weighs 50 more pounds than Johnny,
yeah.
But
Well, those little wiry guys like that. I take it
yeah,
Johnny's like short. Man, when I was a police officer, those are the guys you can't ever get a hold of.
yeah,
Like they're as quick as they can be, man. And you're just like they're like grease. Just
yeah.
keep flying through everything.
Well, Johnny wrestled in pretty elite level in high school, I guess he
Okay.
said, in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
which is a big wrestling state.
Yeah.
I think they were like top 10 in the nation. He said his team was.
Yeah. Well, that's where Kurt Angle came from, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, right.
Was that other place? Was it called Fox Den or Foxhole or something
Yeah,
like
I don't
that?
know.
That place that Kurt Angle, all the wrestlers trained, was it in Pennsylvania too?
I don't know.
I think it was. I think it was in Pennsylvania. They did
I
a
don't know.
movie on it. Fox. If anybody knows the name of that movie, I think it's like Fox Den or Foxhole or something.
Sounds like a place you ran security at.
Yeah, the Foxhole.
In your early life.
In my early days. Yeah, when I was a heathen.
What's not security guard? What do you call that? Bouncer.
Bouncer. Yeah, bouncing at the Foxhole. Foxcatcher. Foxcatcher Ranch. That's the name of it.
Oh, okay.
Something. Yeah, that's. I think it's in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure though.
Yeah.
There's no Kurt Angle's from Pennsylvania.
Lots of wrestlers come out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yeah. My extra job. Exactly. Foxcatcher. I work at the Foxcatcher down, off 5th Street. I bounce.
That's hilarious. Let's talk about spreading the gospel at least a little bit tonight, and then we can get back on whatever we want to.
Let's talk about the Lord just a little bit tonight.
Stop.
Tiny hands for the win. Tiny hands. Anyway.
Oh, I just kicked my table over.
So earlier, when me and Josh were talking about doing this episode, every week we get together. Right? All right. So what do you want to talk about? So I was talking about spreading the gospel, and the best way to do that with friends or family or, just random people you meet. And the reason I did that is I had a friend of mine that's a really close friend, and his wife is very much into her faith, and one of his sons is. Very sure of himself and his faith in Christ. And my friend, he doesn't really put it first. He's one of those Christians that are like, yeah, I'm a Christian. I believe Jesus died for my sins, but they don't really, what is it? There's a scripture, faith without works, something, is basically it's no good. If you have faith, but you don't try to spread the gospel, or you don't pray to God, or you don't spend time with God or whatever, that you're not really doing what he calls us to do. Right. So, anyway, I just got to have a good talk with him, and I brought it up, and I've been wanting to bring it up for a long time. And it just kind of was a circumstance where he and I were alone. We're all out of town, and our wives and all the boys, they'd all gone to this little place, Manitou Springs, which is a really cool place near Colorado Springs. And we were just kind of sitting around shooting the breeze. having a beer, and I just thought it was a good time to bring it up to him because he's very successful. He's a great dad. Like, he's a great dad, great husband. I mean, has done very well and set his family up for, if anything happened to him, they'd be good, right? I mean, they're not rich, but he's done very well with his finances, and that's all important and everything. And they don't have to worry about if they want to go do a trip or spend money or the kids need something. I mean, they're very well off because they've worked really hard, right? And neither one of them, I mean, both of these husband and wife, I mean, they're not educated from college. I mean, they've done really well. But I felt it was on my heart to talk to him because I feel like his priorities were messed up. And, he's not I mean, he's as good of a person as you ever meet, give you the shirt off his back. He's always in a good mood. I mean, he is just like he is a Christian through and through with his actions, but for some reason he has a hard time with his faith, like putting it first. Like, he thinks that he's in control of everything. And, I've explained to him that all the money he makes and all the hard work that he's done to make sure his family's set and all that doesn't mean anything if spiritually he's deficient. And also his health too, because he doesn't really take his health serious enough too. He's a little overweight, and we want him to lose weight. So I'm not trying to just blast my buddy here, but just kind of give you the gist of what it is. Like, he's like honestly, I look up to this man. I mean, he's a little older than me, and I look up to him because of what kind of father he is and what kind of husband he is. But his faith is messed up a little bit, and it's just because he puts his family before he puts God. And I told him, I said, and he asked me, he says, well, what do you do? What's on yours, like your hierarchy? I said, well, it goes God, then, of course, my wife, and then we don't have kids. So like everything else falls behind that, friends, family, stuff like that. And he says, well, see, that's where I messed up, because I put it goes family, then God. And I said, well, you realize, like, none of what you have is even possible without God. So, like, how do you, how do you not put our creator before your family? Like, you've got to start doing that. And I talked to him my 6 minutes a day thing. I said, look, make a pact with me. You're going to read your Bible 6 minutes a day, and you're going to stop worrying so much about your job and make him. He's got a really good job. He works really hard. And I was like, look, all that can be taken from you in like a minute, but your relationship with Christ will get you through those hard times, and he will provide things for you when you're down to make it work out. Right. Like, everything is like, I'm not a worrier person. You and I've talked about that. Like, I don't worry, because I know at the end of the day, like, God's going to provide you everything you need as long as you're obedient and you're a good steward with the things that he just provides you all the time. And sometimes you're going to have hard times, but as long as you have a faith in him, you're going to have what it takes inside to get back up and get on the horse. Right. And someone that's got little faith, it's going to really beat them down. Well, my friend has a lot of faith in himself, and that's a good thing, because he's got this thing inside of him that he's not going to let his family, he said, if I die, my family's not going to be able to say I didn't leave him with anything. And that's true. To this day, they're going to be fine if he passes away. And, I'm going to work hard to make sure my family, everything. I said, that's great and all, but what if you die and like they don't care about the money, they care about you. And you spiritually need to get right, and physically, with your health, so that you can be around longer. And my main message was, is quit obsessing over the things of the world and try to aspire to be closer to Christ. If you're closer to Christ, like, all these other things will come into play. Like, if you put your relationship with God, and it maybe you might agree with me, Josh, because you've been a God guy since you were born, and I'm a newer convert in the last 15 or 16 years. I didn't have that when I was younger, but I've always felt that God had a presence in my life, even when I wasn't paying attention to him. Right. So I look at it and I was like, and that's why I told him, I said, if you put God first and everything, like, you're flourishing now, imagine what you could do with God, with you actually giving God his praise, building a relationship with Christ, getting to know him. And it went really well. And so that's why I kind of wanted to talk about this today and kind of get you to talk about how you share the gospel, and maybe some other people uh, on the channel, explain their idea of the best way to do it. Because it's a touchy subject. You never know how someone's going to take it when you go preaching. Because hey, man, I'm messed up, dude. Me and my wife got in an argument at the airport, and I was rude to her. So like, I think to myself, like, is that a really good example of a Christian? No, but I'm human, and God knows my heart. So I used to think like, well, I do these bad things. Who am I to tell somebody?
Yeah.
So that's just stupid. Like, if you're a Christian and you're called to Christ, you're not perfect. None of us are perfect. So don't be too hard on yourself. But you always should be spreading the good news, right? And so, like, I look at those things, I don't know, that moment for me was a great moment for me to be able to share something with him. And I mean, I think it made a difference. I talked to his wife last week, and she kind of shared some stuff. I'm buying him a Bible. So that he has a Bible. I want to give him a Bible from me. I think as men, we need to, if we see other men who aren't, say, who have really good soil to plant the seed in, I think it's our duty to plant that seed, and give them a Bible and a little word of encouragement, and spread my message of 6 minutes a day, because anybody can do anything for 6 minutes a day. If they just start with 6 minutes a day in the New Testament and then let the Holy Spirit take over, I think that's a good way to get people started on their journey to being saved. So, I mean, I know I was kind of long winded with that, but I just really, it was on my heart, and that I don't know. I got close friends that, we all have those friends that we know say they're Christian. I don't really know if they're any of a less Christian than a guy who reads his Bible every day. I don't know if I'm less of a Christian, or let me say less of a Christ follower, because
Yeah.
Christianity's kind of got its own kind of bad rap. I like to say Christ follower. I don't know if I'm any less Christ follower than, say, Phil Robertson, or Billy Graham was. I know they know a lot more and they've had a lot more time reading the Bible than I have. But you never know somebody's story, and you might meet someone who's a Christian, but they're not doing the work, and they don't know how much joy you get from spreading the gospel. Like, I get excited about it, dude. I like, when I first, became a Christian and started really kind of exploring my faith, it really wasn't this thing to me. But now, man, like, I get more excited talking about Jesus than I do about anything, even deer. Like, I would rather talk to somebody about Jesus Christ than I would about hunting. And have a good conversation. So anyway, I know I was long winded. I just kind of wanted to say, kind of share that, and kind of encourage people to do what God calls us to do, and don't be afraid. I mean, if you have a good situation and God puts it on your heart, if you're sitting there and you're talking to a friend that you've been praying for, or you're with somebody and just something inside you says, man, I need to mention Jesus to this guy, just do it. Like, what are you going to lose? And if they don't take to it, okay, you still got to put a seed somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe it flourishes from what you said now. Maybe it flourishes 10 years down the road. Maybe it doesn't. I mean, God didn't create everyone to go to heaven, unfortunately. He knows. I mean, he probably created everybody to go to heaven, but he knows not everyone's going to go to heaven, right? He knows not everybody's going to be follow Christ. He knows there's going to be different people that aren't going to. But anyway, what do you think?
I think sharing the gospel is the one thing Jesus really wants us to do, and it's the one thing that is probably the hardest thing to do for us. I mean, dude,
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard sometimes to like say, and I am completely guilty of this. Like, it's sometimes hard to tell someone God bless you, like in the store or something. When you're talking to them, like, it's you don't want people to feel awkward. You don't want
yeah,
to press anybody's buttons, and it's hard. And like, uh, it's even harder. This is something I struggle with, is what we're talking about tonight, because I grew up in an atmosphere where I went to a Lutheran school. I was in Lutheran church. We went to chapel a couple times a week. We went Sunday schools, church. Just everybody around me was a Christian, so you never had to like practice sharing the gospel. You never had to talk really about Jesus with anybody outside of this little community here we have
Right.
in Southern Indiana. It's like, um, so that it's something I struggle with. And then, I went to a Christian university too. So,
Mhm.
um, again, just not a lot of opportunity there to tell someone something they didn't already know.
Yeah.
Now in my adult life, I've had the opportunities to now, as you grow older and have more experiences. And the ones I found the toughest and it's like made me want to get my crap together and my arguments together a little better, is like people that are not necessarily those lukewarm people, because you at least have a conversation with them about it. But like the people that are dead set, like, I don't believe in God or I don't believe in Jesus,
Yeah.
like that's tough, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
Um, I got people close to me that are that way. Uh,
That's a
so
hard conversation to have with someone that's not a believer.
yeah, yeah. I mean, uh,
But it
yeah,
doesn't matter. Like, God tells you to do it anyway, right?
exactly.
So if
Yep.
they get offended, I don't care. That's God tells now. You shouldn't go into offend. Like I see these videos of guys on the street corner at gay pride parades yelling. I'm like, man, it's totally what turns people off to Christianity, right? Like, I have seen one kid that goes to gay pride parades, and he actually does start conversation with people, and he hugs them. He asks if he can pray. He's very kind to people,
Yeah.
and he really does show the true nature of Christ. But these guys get on loudspeakers. I mean, maybe they're just doing it for views, whatever. Everybody's got a gimmick nowadays. Um, but you still you have to treat people good, and you have to show them love. God loved. I mean, Jesus loved everybody. That's why He died for us. No matter whether you're. I mean, we're all in sin. So like, not one sin is worse than the other. Like all these people, like I've said it before, all these people that are so harsh on homosexuality or whatever the next letter of the day is, that it doesn't matter. Like, we're supposed to love everybody and
Mhm.
treat everybody with kindness. I do. I love everybody because God commands me to, and it's too, it's hard on your heart to hate people. So, like when people do that and they try to spread it at events, and a lot of times, you go into the lions den with a bunch of hungry lions, you're going to get ate up. And sometimes venue is important, like where you're spreading the gospel. Like, I don't think you wouldn't want to go to a satanic temple and try to spread the gospel, right? Because you're going to be outnumbered. Even though you got God on your side, you're still outnumbered. And the devil, to some degree, rules this world. He's got a lot of influence here. And that's because God, right? He said after the fall of man, he's kind of like hands off, pretty much. I think he intervenes here and there and talks to us and puts things in our and if you're in it, and also in the Bible it says, some will be blind to what God does, right? Some people won't see God in everyday life. And you and me as Christians, we see God when he talks to us, when he does things, uh when events happen, like we see God. Like, you know, um so I think some people just are blind to it. And so you have to introduce them, and no one wants to be forced, and no one wants to be told they're wrong either. You just kind of have to give them this option, and then maybe pray for them with them and let them feel how good it is for someone to put their hand on your shoulder and say a prayer and love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, really genuinely love you enough to pray for you. I mean, I think maybe that's a way, but I mean, we got to get better as Christians at spreading the gospel. I mean,
Mhm.
it's good stuff. Like, it's good news. You don't have to change who you are today. You just turn to Christ. He'll do the work. And he might not change you. You might start out a total heathen, you know, you might start out a devil worshiper. But if you make it just a little bit to where you're, you know, believe that Christ died for your sins, well, that's a win right there. Right. I mean, it's a relative scale on Christianity. Like, some of us are better followers and more devout. Some of us take it for granted. You know, I think a lot of us take it for granted. And those people will probably find out one day that they probably haven't done the work. I hope I'm not one of them. I hope I do. I hope I make God proud. But you know, I feel like you know, you gotta spread that gospel, man. You gotta let people know if it's on your heart, and don't be scared.
Yeah.
Good to do it in groups of men too that are hunting. Because I mean, I'll just say, Josh, you're a good example of a good Christian. With your family, with how respectful you are to people. Just, I mean, you're light. Most of the time, I mean, at least on the exterior, you don't seem just super stressed or worrying about every little thing, and like you don't have your life's not real heavy, right? And I think there's a certain weight that gets taken off your shoulders when you realize that our Creator has us in the palm of His hand. When He's got us, He's taking care of us. I'm not saying lay around, be a lazy bum. God's going to make sure there's people there to feed you grapes and bathe you,
Yeah,
but
that's not going to work for you.
no, he demands work from us, but I mean, I think He's going to provide the opportunities for you to be able to live your life and be successful and have what you need. And, you just got to do the work, spread the good news.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good spill about that.
That was heavy.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a really good topic. That's like I said, it's probably one of the things I struggle with the most is because I don't get. I mean, just like I said, I live in a small town in southern Indiana that's primarily everybody's Lutheran.
Yeah.
Everybody goes to my church or the 4 different churches we have in town here that are all Lutheran churches. So it's something I need to work on.
Yeah. I thought about getting a cross, like a necklace cross. I don't like wearing jewelry, but I thought about getting just to wear.
Get your ears pierced and just wear a great big one.
Great 2 crosses right here. One on my nose. I'll get one right here.
Oh no.
Yeah, no. I was thinking about getting a cross. I just think it's a good outward show of who you are, and
Yeah.
maybe start a conversation. I've been thinking
Yeah.
about getting shirts made too, like, for my 6 minutes deal.
Get a face tattoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Of
A
a
6
cross.
here, 6
Ask me
minutes.
about my Lord.
Yeah, ask me about God. Yeah, well, I actually, you know what? I got another story real quick. If we got just a second. So this is really cool. So there's a train that you can take. It goes down a gorge, south of Colorado Springs, and it goes one way and then turns around and goes back the other way, right? So it's about a 2-hour trip. Well, I was sitting there and I have on my arm, let me see, Psalm 23 on my arm. I also have, let me see if I can get it in here, the Lion of Judah and Calvary, and a bunch of other stuff too. I've got a dove and some roses for the Passion. So anyway, there's a guy sitting across from me, and he asked me about it. He says, what's that on your arm? I said, oh, it's Psalm 23. My grandmother used to read this to me every night before, I went to bed. When I spent the night with her when I was a little kid, she was a very big influence on me. And he says, man, let me tell you something. He says, I know everybody knows John 3:16. He says, but I got a story for you. I said, all right. He says, I was diagnosed with a terminal disease. I don't know when it was. Let's just say 3 years ago. He was, and it just so happens he's a retired police officer from Houston too. And I said, man, really? He says, yeah. He says, so they told me I was going to die in 2 weeks, and my wife went home, and they said she needed to make arrangements. I said, I'm not going to die. He said, I just knew I wasn't going to die. He said, so I went to sleep on the bed. They were trying to fix me, heal me. He said, so I went to sleep and I had a dream. He says, it was the most vivid dream I've ever had, but I was in a room about the size of this boxcar. And he says, and I remember there was a lamb next to me. I looked down and there was a lamb standing next to me, looking the other way. And he said, and then I got yanked out of my dream. He says, it was the most peaceful dream I've ever had. I mean, it was just awesome. He says, I got yanked out of my dream, and the nurse came in and she says, hey, we're fixing to move you to another room. He says, what room? Well, okay. She says, yeah, you're going to be in 316. He had just heard that in his dream, John 3:16. He heard it, like it was part of his dream. And he woke up and that nurse said that, and she took him down there. 2 weeks later, he was out of the hospital healed.
Jeez, that's insane, man.
I get chills. He told me that story and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude.
are you serious? So, you never know when you got, and I kind of told him my faith journey and my testimony, and we talked about God, stuff like that. You just, but me, man, I'll talk to anybody. Like that guy helped with the turkeys.
Yeah, showing that.
Here, man, let me show you these turkeys. I'll be a street preacher. I'll go be a street preacher. Man, I don't know much, but I can help you a little bit. Buy you a Bible.
But you hear stories like that all the time from people,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It was pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. I was really blown away by that. Like, I got chills on my arm when he told me about that. And I was wow, that's powerful, dude. I was like, that is, And I told him my testimony and stuff, and just we talked a little bit, and I mean it's pretty cool. So those are my two stories about from the last couple of weeks where I got.
Yeah, you've had a lot of crazy things happen to you, really, or
Yeah,
cool things.
yeah, good things. You just never know who you're gonna who you're gonna end up around, and when you're gonna get the chance to spread the gospel. So
that's right, Chris. Thanks for 14 months of being a member, man. It's a long time. Heck, we haven't had this membership up for much more than that.
Man, that's from day one.
Yeah, I don't know how long the membership's been up.
Yeah, they're going to $1.49 because of inflation if Kamala wins.
What are you talking about? Patrick always reads answers the questions without any. Which question are you answering?
No, there's no question. I just made that up. I'm ad-libbing.
Oh, you're gaslighting.
Yeah, I'm gaslighting. I'm just telling everybody, hey, membership's going up to $1.49 if Kamala wins.
Oh, yeah, the membership. Yeah.
Yeah, get on the Trump train. Let's get him in there so we can save our country.
I would like to say the membership's a awesome moneymaker, but YouTube takes about half of it. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
Yeah. That's why a lot of creators go to Patreon because they don't take as much from you. But
yeah, I just feel
I don't do a membership to make money. It's just a thing where the people that are real, like the big fans or whatever you want to call it. Not that everybody that listens is a big fan. You don't have to pay me 99 cents to be a fan of the show, but just a little small community. And
Elizabeth said she's still on the original rate. I'm like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you gotta. I don't know how to change anything.
Yeah, sorry.
You can either just keep paying the whatever it is, $2.99.
I mean, she's donated enough for membership.
I know.
So
should be free.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
You should be giving her money for her. Yeah. Like, look here.
Yeah. YouTube doesn't. Another thing is a pain about it is YouTube doesn't let you change anything. Like you gotta type out everything you want to change and then submit it to them, and they have to approve it, and then you can go in and change it. It's just kind of a pain. But
well, that's because you haven't used the tiny hands. Yeah, I don't think they really care. It's the money's going to a good source, a good person.
Yeah,
does a good job on here trying to entertain all of us.
Did you see Joe Rogan endorsed Robert Kennedy Jr.?
He didn't endorse him. He talked really good. He talked good about him, and I agree with what he said. I like that he attacks ideas instead of people. I wish that Trump would do that. And then he got on there today and he said some good things about Trump too. And
yeah,
I mean, he's kind of, he's pretty much down the middle.
Yeah. I don't think he likes Kamala very much, but
no, he doesn't like Kamala. He's talking about how crazy and the media, how they've just spun that whole thing around, made her look like she sank Kamala.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Went from like the worst possible candidate the Democrats could ever have to the savior of the United States. Yeah. Like the media is so freaking powerful. And I'll be honest with you, man, I'm scared she's going to win. Like I'm watching this stuff. And if she does good in that first debate that they have, I think it's game over for Trump.
Yeah.
You got to hope that she doesn't. And I hate to say that, but I think we got a hard lesson to learn in this country. I think things got to get really hard for a lot of people to realize what's at stake and how good we've had it for a long time and how we're not going to have it that good probably ever again, unfortunately. Yeah. I think you probably don't remember this, but Y2K was going to be like the end of everything, right? It was like, oh, Y2K, Christ is coming back. That's the end of the world, which Christ coming back would be great, right? But it was a little bit more dark than that. Well, that's almost like when I think about it, like all the good music pretty much stopped before 2000. Like 90s were really good. Like the 90s was a good time. The 80s was a good time. And like just the lessons and the ways that I grew up, even the way you grew up, right? It was still pretty good, right? But of course, your family's a little different. But like these kids nowadays that like were born after 2000, holy God, they're just it's rough, man.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Elizabeth.
Commanda, the Ugandan giant. Yeah, he wrestled here in Memphis too. I'm close to Memphis, Farrell. So.
What are you talking about now?
Ugandan giant, dude. Kamala. He wore face paint.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was way thrown off for a second.
He was like I don't know. He dressed, I want to say he's like a voodoo guy, but then they had the other guy that used to eat the worms. You remember him?
Yeah,
what was his
Boogeyman.
Boogeyman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Kamala was like a voodoo like thing and big, and I think Kamala's got diabetes. Kamala ain't doing so hot. I don't think he's got legs anymore. He lives down in Mississippi. They
Oh,
all live
really?
around me. Yeah, the Birdman, Coco Beware lives in Memphis.
Oh,
Of
really?
course, Jerry Lawler does. Sid, Psycho Sid Vicious, Sid Udy, he lives over in Marion. I've met him several times. All those wrestlers used to work out at the gym I used to work out at in Memphis.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, Kamala the Ugandan. I forgot about that. She's Kamala the Jamaican. I don't know what you call her.
Yeah. I love that we talk about wrestling on here. I sent you a pretty funny Stone Cold Steve Austin meme the other day.
Yeah, I like that one. I wish he'd be in some movie like that. He's been in
Oh,
some
yeah.
movies. Him and then
Oh,
Triple
yeah.
H.
He's in a bunch of them.
Triple H was in Blade 3. I don't know if you remember saw Blade.
Yeah.
Third one.
I
Triple
was
H.
watching, me and my wife are trying to get through the Casey Neistat vlogs on YouTube, and he randomly like popped up in a Casey Neistat vlog on YouTube. It was pretty funny.
Really?
They must have been on the same flight or something, and Casey sat by him or whatever. It was funny.
Yeah. Oh, I love wrestling. The
Yeah,
Jamaican
man.
tackler. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The South Asian sensation.
Yeah.
Whatever she is. I like it. JD Vance said, Kamala, don't you think it's bad to question Kamala's race? And they were like, Kamala's whatever she wants to be. Did you see her when she came down here in the South?
Oh, yeah.
Put
Talking
on
about
that fake
collard
accent?
greens and
Yeah, man, come
yeah.
on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I hope people see through that mess.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Mankind, Cactus Jack,
Yep.
Mick
Dude
Foley.
Love. He was Dude Love too, man.
Remember that Royal Rumble when he just kept coming out as different characters?
Yeah, yeah. I remember that.
He came out like 5 times of all
Yeah.
this like.
Remember when the Undertaker threw him on tacks?
Oh man, they
Threw
had a
through
brutal match that one time.
And he's got half his ear ripped
It was
off.
a cage match, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, he threw him from the top of the cage down into the mat. The top of the cage gave way, supposed to, onto a bunch of tacks. And they were like stuck all in him. And then I remember he got up, he's got blood, and he's like smiling. Like,
yeah.
That guy's nuts.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's crazy. His wife's a pretty good looking girl, too. Like
well, he's probably wealthy.
He's still Mick Foley, dude.
Yeah, I know, but have you seen pictures of him when he was young? He looks a lot better.
Yeah.
He's not quite as rough looking. I think he's pretty hard on himself.
Yeah, he's probably a nice guy. Women don't really care as long as you're nice. You can take care of them, and you're nice. That's really all they care about. You're a good provider, and you're nice to them.
A lot of those wrestlers, old guys that are retiring now, are going on podcasts and stuff. It's pretty entertaining to listen to them talk. Like the Undertaker's on all kinds of, or Mark Calloway, he's on all kinds of podcasts now.
He's a pretty interesting. He became a Christian recently too.
Yeah,
or not recently, but later in life, he did with his wife.
Yeah, Mr. Sacco.
Yep, Mr. Sacco. Who was the other guy that had the snake? You remember the little
Jake
Italian
Snake?
Wrestler? No, the Italian wrestler that did the snake with his hand.
Oh,
what was his name?
Yes, I don't remember who that is. He put like a sock on it. Did he?
He put a sock and he come up like a snake and he did all these things and he talked to it.
Yeah, dude, there's some weird gimmicks in the WWE.
There's always something going on.
You see, John Cena's retiring this year.
Yeah, I saw John Cena retired. Your boy, that's your generation there.
Yeah,
all my favorites are retired.
Yeah, they just randomly like pop up every now and again. All of them seem like they do.
Yeah, I hadn't been paying attention, but Bray Wyatt's family's got the Wyatt 6 now.
Yeah,
they came in since Bray Wyatt died.
Yeah,
that was bad because I think he was probably one of the best entertainers.
Well, he was young too. He wasn't that old, really.
Yeah, he was 34. I wonder what got him. Probably that shot, dude. That shot.
I knew you were going to say that.
All right. John Cena does look like Ernest Goes to Camp, dude. He looks like Ernest P. Worrell for sure. Do you remember Ernest P. Worrell? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
He was on Buckmasters, remember, with the little.
Yeah, I used to watch Ernest.
What was the name of his sidekick on Buckmasters? The little doll? Or something like that?
I don't remember. I
gotta look at it.
Did you ever watch The Incomplete Deer Hunter?
No, I hadn't watched that.
with T-Bone and Jeff Foxworthy.
I never watched that. I never got in that comedy stuff. You know, what was what was it? TK and Mike. I never got into them either.
Yeah.
You know, I like watching the series. I watched a lot of Will Primo's growing up.
Yeah.
Like he was my favorite. And then I never did really like Realtree, like their stuff. I did when I was younger because they always had the giant bucks, but they were always like canned hunts and not much personality. It's just like we're hunting. It's
Yeah. Kill shot.
Will. Yeah, it was Bill Jordan, Dave Blanton, and like Waddell was on there. I like Waddell.
Well, he kind of turned that company around, in my opinion.
He did because of his personality.
Yeah.
You know, and he's younger. And then they'd always have what Earnhardt would be on there. Dale Earnhardt was always on, and Foxworthy.
And Foxworthy.
Yeah. Yeah, those folks were always on there.
Yeah. I ate dinner with Michael Waddell's dad one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like him too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They look just alike.
He told me a crazy story about especially now that Michael's getting older, he really started looking like him.
They really look alike.
He said that they were in camp with Jeff Foxworthy one time, and Michael had tagged out, and they had to hang around for a couple of days before they went to their next hunt, and Jeff had to leave camp to go do like a corporate event, and he's like, Michael, you want to come with me to that event? You can fly with me on my private jet. They flew him in on. He's like, yeah, sure. He said they left at like 11 a.m. He flew to wherever they were going to, like somewhere in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
He did like 30 minutes of comedy, 30 minutes to an hour of comedy. They wrote him $100,000 check. They got back on the jet and they flew back to camp. And he said they were back in time to like hunt that evening, and he made $100,000 just like that.
Hey man, he had the ASIO jet.
Yeah, but that's crazy how much money
ASIO won. Air Force ASIO.
Yeah. We're saying Joe Miles needs to buy a jet to get around all his places because he's always on social media at airports and stuff.
Everywhere. Yeah. And if you watch that, thank you,
Chris. Thanks for the tip, man. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, everything's taxed. But Kamala's going to take care of those taxes.
Yeah, she is now.
Everything I make is going to be a tip from now on. I'll be like, oh, tip? Thank you. Can you cut my yard? Yeah, sure. You can just tip me at the end of the month.
Yeah.
I cut it for free.
Yeah, everything is taxed on YouTube. All right, let's get off here.
All righty.
Before everybody just stops listening to us talk about wrestling and whatever else.
We'll do a wrestling podcast on Sundays. Like we'll do the pay-per-view live streams.
Yeah, we should. That's probably a bigger audience than this small deer hunting audience we have anyway.
Yeah, we'll start our own WWE
wrestling fans.
Yeah, wrestling thing, and we'll just talk about wrestling and do live streams and explain it to people.
But we'll talk about nothing that's new. Like we'll just talk about old crap that nobody cares about anymore.
Or we'll say that wrestlers that are wrestling are actually old wrestlers. Like, oh, there he comes, John Cena. He's wearing he looks like Cody Rhodes, but it's really John Cena. Trust us.
All right, everybody. Thanks for getting on tonight, and hit that subscribe button before you leave. And tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., there'll be another video up. See you guys. Bye.
God bless.
God bless you.